Coming up on Global Business, representatives from 100 countries and regions are gathering at a forum in Beijing to discuss the development path of China's Xizang Autonomous Region. Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin is paying a visit to China, and we discuss what the visit means for China-Russia economic and trade ties. U.S. President Joe Biden and top congressional Republican Kevin McCarthy were unable to reach an agreement on raising the U.S. government debt ceiling. Clock is ticking to a possible default in June. From CGTN headquarters in Beijing, this is Global Business. I'm Lily Lu. A forum with the theme of New Chapter in Xizang's High-Quality Development and Human Rights Protection has commenced in Beijing. It involves representatives from over 100 countries and regions. Yu Li reports.
President Xi Jinping sent a message to the forum expressing his wish for improved lives and happiness for the people of Xizang. This sentiment resonated with local representatives who voiced support for government policies in the region.
Xizang residents strongly support the implemented policies due to significant positive changes in employment, education, healthcare, and pension insurance over the past few decades.
Ahead of the forum, some foreign participants said they'd been impressed by infrastructure development in Xizang's challenging high-altitude environment.
I remember at 5,200 meters high, you can use your mobile phone. It's really impressive. And not only to call, really to chat, to send an email, to do everything.
I've been in Xizang for 1 week. We went to Linshan, went to Lhasa, and I was very surprised for the high standard of livelihood in Xizang. Yes, it's a great surprise for me for the development Xizang has made in the last years.
The forum also featured cultural exhibitions to enhance understanding of the people of Xizang.
Since it commenced in 2007, the forum has successfully organized 7 sessions. During this period, Xizang Autonomous Region has made impressive achievements across areas of different development. Participants praised the forum as a valuable platform to gaining genuine insights into Xizang's progress. Yu Li, CGTN, Beijing.
And to understand more about the forum on the development of Xizang, let us bring in our guest, Mr. Liu Baochen, Dean of the Center for International Business Ethics at the University of International Business and Economics. Mr. Liu, great to have you on the show. So first of all, help us to understand what are the main points mentioned by President Xi in his congratulatory letter to the Xizang Development Forum.
It's a very short but a very strong message. One is that he's there to manifest that the human rights, after all, rest on the primacy of people's happiness. And with the help of the Central Party and many parts of China, Xizang has really turned out a new look with great admiration. And the other is that we are there to achieve the elimination of extreme poverty, which is something that plagued Xizang for thousands of years. And then the third message is to encourage them to endorse the new development outlook, to go forward for high quality development in order to build a harmonious, cohesive, and solidarity society, which is something that they are already on the road.
And in what ways does Xizang's economic development impact the Himalayan economic region and also its relationship with the Belt and Road Initiative?
Yes, if we use the basic framework of the Human Development Index built by the UNDP, it is very visible. Number one, the health and life conditions has improved tremendously. Actually, it's doubled over the years. And second, it is the economic income. And we can see that over the past 18 years, there has been the double-digit growth per capita for their per capita income. And then if you look at the education level, before there was no universities over there, and right now we can see that there are dozens of universities around, and thousands of research institutions, vocational schools, middle schools, and primary schools. So the literacy level is almost there, reaching a very new height. And plus, affirmative action is given for those young people who can study in many other developed cities around China. And this is something that's not really achievable in many parts of the developing countries where the whole nation is getting so much tied together to help the landlocked region. And not to mention the new development level in terms of the hybrid infrastructure development and in building their not only education system, but also providing sports and cultural activities. And so this is really something that is really a miracle that China can really possibly achieve in such short a period of time.
And then tell us, Mr. Liu, how do you think Xizang's economy has been positively affected by its approach to ecological conservation and sustainable growth?
Yes, because of its unique the location, the environment actually is very vulnerable to climate changes and human activities. So over the years, we can see that they are growing more grass and see that overall pictures is highly green. And now more of the artificial intelligence is introduced to look after the weather conditions and also to clearly monitor the zoning program where the industrial construction is highly restricted in order to preserve the environment, but in the meantime, it's there to help the green agriculture by introducing the solar panels and hydropowers over there, so that people can enjoy the benefit of the modernization, but in the meantime, it is there to preserve the environment.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Mr. Liu Baochen from the University of International Business and Economics for us. A digital transformation is underway in Shikaza, the agricultural powerhouse of Xizang, contributing to more than 48% of the region's total farm produce annually. As of this month, the city has begun retrofitting their farm machinery with monitoring boxes, signaling a leap toward an era of digital agriculture. CGTN's Inhad Vermak has more.
The innovation lies in the power of data.
Sensors are installed on the rear wall of the agricultural machinery and the farming tools, which can then monitor the working trajectory, the working area, and the quality of the agricultural machinery in real time.
The information gathered is relayed in real time to the Shigaze Barley Industry Big Data platform. Here, professional staff analyze the incoming data and provide relevant feedback. This system is a testament to Shigaze's commitment to harness the power of digital agriculture, drive the digital transformation of the agricultural and pastoral industries, and improve the income of highland barley planting. Highland barley is more than just a staple food in the high-altitude region of Xizang. It is a symbol of endurance and adaptability. As the main crop, it thrives in harsh climatic conditions, contributing to people's livelihood in Xizang, and has been doing so for centuries. Shigaze, often revered as the hometown of highland barley, produces almost half of Xizang's total barley output. The new digital platform plays an instrumental role in tracking and ensuring the quality of the seeds sold. The platform has also established a blockchain-based high-quality barley variety traceability protection system.
There's a QR code on this traceability label. We can directly see the entire planting information of the seed by scanning the QR code with a mobile phone. We can see the purity and grade of the seeds, the supervising unit, the precise seed coating, and the specific situation of processing and storage.
The platform has already completed the construction of core business scenarios, including barley digital production, barley traceability management, agricultural machinery management, agricultural resources and services, agricultural product sales, and farmer beneficial policies. Furthermore, it has also realized the full process data production closed loop of the barley industry chain. With these digital initiatives, Shigatse is attracting more businesses to build factories and develop in the city, spurring the transformation, upgrading quality improvement and efficiency of the grain industry led by barley.
The quality of the barley we're now collecting is good, and the liquor we make is also very good. Consumers really like it, so our sales channels have widened.
Looking ahead, Xizang plans to launch pilot projects for the construction of modern agricultural industry technology systems such as barley, yak and forage this year. This region aims to keep its grain output steady at over 1 million tons, with barley output reaching 840,000 tons. As Xizang embarks on this digital journey, the seeds of change are being sown deep into its fertile farmland.
You're watching Global Business on CGTN. Still to come on the program, Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin is paying a visit to China, and we discuss what the visit means for China-Russia economic and trade ties.
"360-degree profiles of industry movers and shakers, tech mavericks, and policymakers. We drill down on their success. We ask how they set strategy and how they navigate in an increasingly competitive market. Real talk, real business. Join the conversation. Biz Talk, only on CGTN.
Welcome back. Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin is on official visit to China. Our reporter Lucy Ray has more.
Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin has just landed in Beijing. He's on an official visit to China on Tuesday and Wednesday. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said China and Russia would have in-depth exchanges on relations of both sides, and also hopes that Mishustin's visit would deepen cultural and people-to-people exchanges and would boost global economic recovery. And the Kremlin earlier has also confirmed that economic and trade cooperation is also on the agenda, and special attention would be given to, for example, industry, agriculture, transport, infrastructure, as well as energy. And so several bilateral agreements are expected to be signed as well this time. And over the years, Moscow and Beijing has close relations. For example, in March this year, Chinese President Xi Jinping has paid an official visit in Russia. There, he said, ties are entering a new era. So Mishustin's visit this time is also considered a concrete step of an increasing strong relations. Lucy Ray, CGTN, Beijing.
Trade between China and Russia has boomed this year despite weakening demand globally. China's customs data showed that from January to April this year, two-way trade surged over 50% on the year in yuan terms, led by Chinese exports to Russia. And that was way faster than China's overall foreign trade growth in the period, which was 5.8%. China has been a major consumer goods supplier for Russia, with cars, electronic devices, and apparel being the most popular items. Fossil fuel, of course, makes the bulk of Russian exports to China, more than 80%. And besides, China is also an important buyer of Russian lumber and seafood. And for more discussions on Russian Prime Minister's visit to China, we're now joined by Zhang Xin, Associate Professor of School of Politics and International Relations at East China Normal University. Mr. Zhang, great to have you on the show. So let's first of all start to discussing why do you think the timing of Russian Prime Minister's visit to China is significant?
First of all, Prime Minister Mishustin's visit is meant to substantiate some of the key results from the summit between Chinese top leader and the Russian top leader. Prime Minister Mishustin's visit is going to inject some details to these results from the two top national leaders meeting back in March. And secondly, we passed the 1-year anniversary of the Russian-Ukraine crisis 2 months ago. So this crisis doesn't seem to end anytime soon. So all the geopolitical and economic changes are pushing all countries and actors directly or indirectly involved in the conflict to readjust, to remanage its political and economic relations with the outside world, Russia included in particular. So Prime Minister Mishustin's visit is meant also to be a major step, particularly from the Russian side, to show its intention and efforts to readjust Russia economy's domestic and external orientation, given all the major geopolitical and geoeconomic changes.
Mr. Zhang, what kind of opportunities do you think those 500-person business delegation is looking for on this trip?
One is, of course, to further expand the major sectors and the forms of economic collaborations between China and Russia. So, for example, energy sector is going to be, by Mishustin's own words, unconditional priority of Russia's economic relation with China. But we're going to see some further expanded sectors within the larger energy collaboration and also new forms of collaboration. And on top of that, agriculture has been a major field of collaboration too. But I think in the next few years, we're going to see also some new elements within this existing sector of economic collaboration. For example, there will be more elements of green energy, green agriculture, also more digitization of those traditional sector of collaboration between China and Russia. And on top of that, I think another additional field for opportunity, particularly for Russian companies or Russian economic actors, is to seek a possibility of consolidated format, consolidated form that goes beyond just short term of crisis management, right? So those new expanded economic collaboration are meant to serve a much more institutionalized long-term economic collaboration between China and Russia, and not just for short-term crisis management.
Mm-hmm. And also, Mr. Zhang, let's zoom in on the energy cooperation part a bit more. We know that China has become a top energy customer for Russia. What kind of possible energy cooperation initiatives might arise from Mishustin's visit to China?
Some of the items on the negotiation table may not be new initiative. For example, the major Siberia 2 pipeline project has been under negotiation for quite a while. This is a very difficult commercial project for sure. And so Mishustin's visit may bring some new details to the negotiation table. We might see some procedural development in this particular project. But there are maybe some other, very likely there will be some other new initiative within the energy sector. I think the machinery and equipment manufacturing sector related to the energy industry will very likely be on the high agenda this time during Mishustin's visit. Russia particularly is in great need of solid, high-tech supported equipment and machineries in the oil and the gas sector. So this is an area China and Russia has not been in a close collaboration yet. I think very likely on this trip, as Russian officials already indicated, this may be something new.
Yeah, that's great insight. Thank you very much, Mr. Zhang Xin from East China Normal University for us. And still to come here on Global Business, shifting gears to the U.S. U.S. President Joe Biden and top congressional Republican Kevin McCarthy were unable to reach an agreement on raising the U.S. government debt ceiling, and the clock's ticking to a possible default in June.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global Business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business, only on CGTN.
U.S. President Joe Biden and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy have been unable to reach an agreement on raising the U.S. government's debt ceiling, with just 10 days before a possible default that could sink the U.S. economy. Biden said that their talks were productive, while McCarthy told reporters that negotiators are trying to find common ground.
I felt we had a productive discussion. We don't have an agreement yet, but I did feel the discussion was productive in areas that we have differences of opinion. Look, we both know, we've walked through this for a long time, where our differences, we're explaining them, we're giving a give and take of what we think would be best for moving the country forward. We still will have some philosophical differences, but I felt it was productive in that manner.
Well, the White House meeting came after Biden returned from a trip to Asia early to hammer out an agreement ahead of the U.S. Treasury's June 1st cutoff date for Congress to authorize more borrowing. Economists warn that a possible debt default could bring on a recession, and McCarthy said that a deal must be reached this week for it to pass Congress and be signed into law by Biden in time to avoid a default. Switching gears to Europe now, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz has called for greater fiscal prudence amid concerns that new European Union spending rules will choke investment in key areas. Scholz said at the European Trade Union Confederation Congress that the EU needs an agreement on how to reduce the high level of debt again. Increasing debt without limit is not an appropriate solution. Take a listen.
However, the crises of recent years have also led to an increase in public debt. That is why we now need an understanding on how we can reduce the high debt levels again, without repeating the mistakes and disputes of the past. But we in Europe also stand for fiscal stability, because this is the only way to ensure that our budgets remain capable of action and show solidarity in future crises. An unlimited debt increase would not be a good answer.
Time to check out some other business headlines that we're tracking at the hour. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the economy of its member countries grew by 0.4% in the first quarter, up from the previous quarter, 0.2%. G7 economies grew slower at 0.3% in the same period of the time. In the meantime, the business activity in the Eurozone grew slower than expected in May due to a cautious service sector and the declining manufacturing sector. Analysts say that may prompt the European Central Bank rethink its plans to raise interest rates this month. And the UK government's budget deficit in April was larger than expected, largely due to increased payouts on inflation-linked government bonds that was caused by record-level inflation. And Ireland's privacy regulator has fined Facebook's parent company Meta a record $1.3 billion. The tech giant is accused of transferring swathes of European user data to the United States in breach of EU privacy laws. Alex Kadia reports from Brussels.
This is the biggest fine ever leveled by European regulators since the EU's data privacy laws were implemented back in 2018. Now, Meta is accused by Ireland's Data Protection Commission of transferring vast amounts of personal data of European Facebook users to the United States without sufficiently protecting them against Washington's data surveillance practices. Now, Meta used a legal instrument called Standard Contractual Clauses, or SCCs, to justify the data transfer to the US, an instrument that the Irish regulator says did not address the risks to fundamental rights and freedoms. The tech giant has until November to delete or send back the personal data it transferred to US servers. The problem is, Meta is not the only tech company relying on these SCCs to transfer data, meaning this could have implications for other big tech firms. The EU and the US are in the process of hashing out an agreement that would facilitate these kinds of data flows, but that isn't expected to be signed until the summer. Meta has said it will appeal this decision, saying in a statement that the decision is flawed, unjustified, and sets a dangerous precedent for the countless other companies transferring data between the EU and the US. This fine is substantially larger than anything seen in the EU before. The previous largest was $800 million, which Luxembourg levied at retail giant Amazon in 2021, also for data protection breaches. This record fine is seen by many as a sign that European regulators are set to ramp up the pressure on big tech companies operating in the bloc. Alex Cadier, CGTN, Brussels.
And in other business headlines from across the world, TikTok CEO Shou Zi Chew said that the U.S. state of Montana's ban on the app was unconstitutional and that he was confident his company would prevail in a lawsuit challenging that decision. Reuters reported on Tuesday that Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company said that the decision on a possible plant in Germany would be made as early as August. Earlier this month, it was reported that the Taiwanese chipmaker plans to invest up to 10 billion euros for the plant. The Japanese government has announced plans to implement stricter export controls on essential chip-making equipment exported to China. And in response, the Chinese Commerce Ministry has criticized that decision, stating that it would negatively impact the global chip supply chain. And that'll do for this edition of Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Lily Lu in Beijing. Thanks for being with us. Bye for now.